So please join us and give us your valuable thoughts.
You talked about senior people in my organization being women, and there are many of them who have been senior and working with me for 20, 25, 30 years, and they even head the departments. Many of the departments are headed by women. But the same thing, I must tell you that when I signed the paper and gave it to you so many years ago, I gave it to you because you were Tara, number one, but you were also a woman, number two. A woman is more trustable than a man is. So I think the real trust that it brings about and emulates is that you are there. Remember, I signed it and kept it with Tara Subramanian, not with Deepak Parekh. So there's a big difference between the two of them and sitting in the same organization, because I knew you would do it with much more greater care. For Mr. Deepak Parekh, it would be another piece of paper. But for you, it was something which you realized was precious and important. And that is what leadership is all about. The leadership that you're talking about and you're asking me about women's leadership is to bring that part of the empathy in our organizations to do that. Real estate has been devoid of empathy. People have not understood the need for empathy and the importance of what real estate is. HDFC took that leadership role 40 years ago, 45 years ago, in order to make a world of a difference, because it realized at that point of time that they are going to require funding for the purposes of home loans. And HDFC made that beginning because there was an empathy that a person needed a home and needed a shelter. And that is what it is extremely important. Once you can bring empathy along with all the brains that you may have, yes, you do need the other qualities in terms of financial thinking, in terms of vision, in terms of ideas and thoughts, definitely is required to run and lead organizations. But if you can add that love, if you can add that empathy, if you can add that trust, if you can add that belief along with the leadership qualities that you have. So what lacks in leadership in the country in many places is the part of lack of empathy and a lack of trust. So what do? That man is fantastic in making buildings. That man is terrific in his financial abilities, but he's not trustworthy. That ends the entire matter, because the leadership quality that he emulates is maybe you salam the chair that he sits on, but you don't give respect and love to that leadership that you have. I think women and MAHI should take up that type of leadership, which is empathy to the people. You're not making a good building because you're doing good business. You're giving a good building because you empathize with the people who are your customers and stakeholders. And you empathize with them for the purposes of creating a good product. The house and home is such an important factor in the lives of any family member. And it is probably in most cases, I'm saying 80 to 90% of the cases, it's the most largest investment done by any person in their lives is buying a house. Now, can you imagine if you don't make a good quality house, or the house is leaking, or the work is not done? A woman leadership could bring about that manifold change that is required in terms of doing it. So you're not making a good product just because you're making a good businessman or a good businesswoman. You're doing it because you empathize with the person who's your stakeholder, buying that product and all that. So that is what I'm looking forward to in order to get MAHI not only to look at the finances, not only to know the economics of the business, not only to have the vision to do it. Of course, leadership requires all these factors to be taken into account, definitely. But I'm saying, can we add that little touch of empathy? Can we add a little bit of love, little bit of caring, and to do it? The second part, which is very, very important, and I think a woman understands it better than a man, is the purpose in life. Not only she gets into the business of business or profession or joining an organization called NAREDCO, But she also understands that there is a great touch that you can bring about, which a man may not be able to bring about with equal equanimity. So I think what is important that we really need to do is to understand how can we make these particular changes. Why is it when you are providing the most essential need of people, roti, kapda, makan, you're providing the makan, you're providing food, clothing, shelter, you're providing the shelter. Should you not be the most respected of all the business people who are there in the country? Why is it those who manufacture in terms of petroleum products or are doing other businesses of making steel and cement and others, those business leaders are respected? But the people of a community called builders are not being equally respected for working in their industry. So you have many people who run banking. Look at the kind of respect which Mr. Deepak Parekh and the entire HDFC does. Look at the other respect that the financial institutions have in terms of it. They're lending money and taking interest, but you are giving them a house, a home, a shelter, all the positive things in life. So the women's wing, MAHI, needs to look at the other factors which are missing in the life and things of our industry and business. Remember, let us bring about a leadership role which will make a difference, that people will respect you because you are a builder and a developer, a person who provides home and shelter, and that will become a major factor over a period of time. In the last 10 to 15 years, or maybe 15, 20 years ago, no good company wanted to get into real estate. Why? Why was it so? Later, over a period of time, Great Eastern, Tata Housing, Godrej, other companies, corporate companies came into Mahindras, came into the real estate as a business because they found it that now the foundation of all this was bringing about respect and credibility. Look at the meeting we had yesterday. We had 60 people in the room or 50 people in the room. Only we had 2 women. Where is the empathy of factor that we need to get into the business of business that we need to do? So I think the woman's role is going to become very, very, very important in order to see that the respect and credibility that we have in terms of it would be a major change. Yes, you can study finances and Tara will be able to guide us in that. We have Ms. Khair. She'll do a wonderful job, and I'm sure that that will make a world of a difference. We have Priya Sridhar. I'm sure that she will give us direction and ideas. We have Dr. Ananta. Wonderful, really, to have all of you. We have Preeti Singh doing the whole idea of these directions which you have. Aarti, who has done such wonderful work and prepared so many papers, and I use her sometimes in order to give me material which I need to make my speeches. But what you said is important. You want to be the daughter, but you are the wind below the wings. Isn't that a beautiful statement that you have given? You will completely change, and a heavy aeroplane flying heavy people, overweight with lots of luggage, just because you have wind below the wings. If you can be that wind below the wings of the real estate business, you will make a world of a difference, because the wind is everywhere. It is, the plane may be in one place or the other and may use the wind. We all use that wind in order to be where we want to go. But the difference is going to be that if you decide as MAHI to be the wind below the wings, I think the paradigm will happen. Real estate as a business is a wonderful business. I love it because I provide shelter, because I provide a home. People I meet after 25 years after I have provided the house come and speak to me with such fondness and kindness and love and affection, just because I've given them a home for which they have paid me for. Isn't that wonderful that you can get that love and affection from people with whom are your stakeholders? with whom you have associated, with whom we have worked. Let MAHI grow to with that ethical foundation, which Tara and all the other people in your team represent today. Decide that that is how we will grow. We may do less, we may do more, but we will do right. We will do with love and affection. We will do with care. We will carry everybody with us. We will be the wind below the wings of the entire industry. And at the end of the day, people will remember with fondness that this wing has made a difference, because that is what will be remembered. It is not one more building of Mr. Hiranandani that will make a difference, but it will be the character or the ethical duty of how we deal with the people. As Tara just now gave such a very, very fond, affectionate statement about me. It touched her. You touched me too, Tara, by mentioning it today. All this is extremely important. Let us touch the lives of the care stakeholders who are with us. Give them the love and affection that we have. But always remember, we are not going to be on the ground. MAHI will fly in the sky. And even if you're not the plane, let the other peoples be the plane. But you will always be the wind below the wings. And that is the most important. Because without the wind, no plane can fly. It can only go and fall on the ground. So with lots of love and affection, this is the most important. Women's leadership should be about all that. And if that is changed, Tara, we will remember MAHI forever. And people will remember that, which is going to make that emotional, ethical difference, which the industry deserves, because it's the essential need of people. The future of real estate is huge, because everybody needs shelter. 50% of Mumbai, the richest city in India, people live in jhopatpattis. Do you know that all of them could afford a house if you gave them a 300 square feet house at construction cost? Half the people living in jhopatpattis getting a 20-year loan can actually afford a house for themselves. Look at the value proposition that we can bring in the real estate as a business. That future is huge, and we should continue to work in this area. As Niti Aayog just mentioned, that today we are 7.5% of GDP in real estate. And in 10 years' time, we will be 15% of GDP, which is expected to be $5 trillion economy. So on the business side, the future is huge. But on the ethical side, on the emotional side, on the feeling side, on the commitment that we need to do, we are still lacking. You are not just an addition to NAREDCO. You should be the soul and heart of NAREDCO. You may be fewer in numbers. It's not important. One can make a change of leadership. You, MAHI, will be that leadership. Thank you very much.